Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of Deconflicted. I'm Brian Boggs, and we're here to provide perspective on the three D's in life: discernment, decisions, and deconfliction. We got a panel of folks. I'll let everybody introduce themselves. Anybody
Oh,
speak up when you feel.
yeah. Let me go ahead and ask you that real quick, man. What's going on? Welcome, people. I appreciate you guys taking the time to go ahead and listen to these conversations. I think they're definitely important conversations that we can have. I think more platforms need to be out there where we can have these conversations together and voice our opinions on things that are important to us. You know, that we have on a smaller scale, on a micro scale, try to get it to be, a more viral topic, if you will. My name is Antoine Jarvis, truck driver slash entrepreneur. Uh, Definitely be the start of. But Nate, we'll start with you, and then we can work our way down.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Benet Bailey, Benet Love Bailey, as I'm affectionately called. So my background, I'm in mortgage. So check out nationalmortgagetraining.com if you want to get your mortgage license. I'm also a life coach as well. So you can find me at B Love Bailey, IG and FB. So please do connect with me. So I'm excited to be here to talk about this topic. I just can't wait to dive into it.
Yes, me too. Hey guys, what's up? It's your official Vixen, aka Letitia Yofo. I'm a spiritpreneur, straight out the cosmos, baby. So I'm a Reiki practitioner, energy healer, cosmic influencer, all the things, divine awakener, and I'm here and I'm very excited about the topic. But if you want to reach out to me, go to vixenafterdark.com for any services of mine. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm ready, honey.
Let's
Yes.
do it. Let's do it. So the topic today is toxic femininity. So I want to start with the definition by Webster's of toxic femininity is being overly submissive. But I believe that we have taken that definition and did a 180, and I believe, in my perspective, that toxic femininity now is about aggression and self absorption. I'll let y'all speak. What do y'all think?
Want to go ahead, honey?
Man, that's such a loaded question. To me, toxic femininity is really kind of doing too much. When I say that, it is if you are not settled within self and you are using your feminine wiles, your things that make you feminine for a gain, and you're not really like disingenuous about it. For an example, kind of like my sis, we talked previously. If you're doing something to like get over on a guy for that kind of purpose, that's toxic. Like, do you agree, Vixen?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And we're supposed to be in our divine feminine energy. We're supposed to be nurturing with empathy and have patience and
Facts.
be creative and have fortitude and, not be weak and have strength, for our men out here and not, on the opposite side with the toxic femininity, which I think is parallel to modern day feminism right now, as you were stating earlier. Like, let's go into detail. Women being deceitful, manipulating other men just to get things that they want, like materialistic items, trips,
Mhm.
dinners, you name it. It's like that gold digging era when that came out. I feel as if, it's like it's all about vanity, radical independence. I can go on. It's like inflating self when people, like you said, are trying to get gain for something. That confuses the whole, like, now we're toxic here. Now that's not cool. Like, you just don't do that. Taking advantage of a man in his energy when already society has deemed him as, you can't be emotional, so no emotional intelligence. You can't be this. You have to just be strong and a protector and a provider, and you know what I mean. And you can't be vulnerable, And so that kind of goes into that map as well, where it's like people get lost in the sauce. So now we're confusing the man. Like, okay, you can't be this, but
Yeah.
you can be that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I
Mhm.
think that does exist, toxic femininity, and I think it stems from all of those things that we just talked about. Some people are so hurt from PTSD from other relationships. It's like, well, I'm not going to let somebody hurt me, so I'm going to
I'm
get
gonna hurt
over
you first.
it. You know what I mean? Versus like, I actually deserve what's coming. Actually deserve these trips and these dinners and being treated like this and that. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a difference. And I feel as if we have to come into the divine feminine energy versus the toxic femininity that women are. It's like cool now to do it. You know what I mean? It's like that's not it.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for me, you know, I'm one of the quote unquote good girls, right? So good girls, contrary to popular belief, good girls finish last also, right? Because we're not toxic. We're not trying to take advantage of our divine feminine for a personal gain. And so at times I used to hate that part that like, why are all you know, BITCHs, right? Why did they get the kind of men that I just feel like I deserve, but I'm a nice person, right? So I'm not going to, I'll never front you off in public. But these girls seem to be cussing at you, pointing their finger in your face. I would never, right? So it's kind of that type of thing.
I agree. And real quick before I let Antoine get in, is I do think that being the hard to deal with person from a man or female's perspective has been normalized, and that has somehow been deemed an attractive trait because it lets them know that this person is going to stand up for themselves. When really, to me, it just seems it tells people you're unbearable, you're hard to deal with, and that does not show strength to me. That actually shows weakness. What do you think, Antoine?
Man, for me, when I hear toxic femininity, and me and Benet was talking about this earlier. We was having some deep conversations about things like this. I feel personally, right? Now is the time to change the narrative. You see what I'm saying? Now is the perfect time. I think we can start. Me personally, I think if we can start, because I don't understand the idea of being overly anything, right? Like what is the gauge? You know what I'm saying? Like who decides what's the gauge? And I feel that as a people, we are mature enough to be able to have these conversations and communicate in a way to where we both are winning. You know what I'm saying? It's a little give and receive, and receive and we get. I think that if we can put ourselves in situations where we having these conversations like we're having now, more people can get out of. Because again, me personally, I feel women do all the shaming, right? When it comes to shaming language, I think women do all the shaming. Like if a woman starts saying, you know what I'm saying, like the idea of I do this for my man, I do this, that whole cater to you concept, right? When a woman starts talking like that, then there's other women out there, and I feel that those are the bitter single women who are out there hitting her with the whole pick me concept. Pick me, she's a pick me, she's a pick me. And I think that's where we fall short of understanding each other in regards to we kind of need each other. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you're not trying to finesse me. You know, we need each other to work out. What do you got to think?
And I agree with that. You know, because the finessing part of the game is there from both sides. You're gonna have people that's trying to finesse someone else. That is what it is. And that's where that discernment, being able to properly judge a person based upon what they show you and not what you think you want them to be.
Right.
Yeah. Not build a bear over here. Like it's got to be that equal give and take. I can love you past your pain. Certain things I can let you know I can't heal. You got to do some inner work as well, but we can come together. One hand washes the other kind of energy now. Like it's got to be reciprocity's got to be there, honey.
Reciprocity.
Yeah. That's a huge word.
A lot of people though, because at the end of the day, if I'm not healthy, right? If I'm not in a healthy space, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I have to wait until I'm in a healthy space before I start dating? You know what I'm saying? And if here's the thing, like, I feel most people don't do that because that's not the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going. Me personally, I did the therapy. You know, the marriage counseling when I was married. You know what I'm saying? And I did individual counseling, and I feel that I've learned so much about myself by doing that. Right, being able to talk about things that I feel from my perspective, we shouldn't be rushing into relationships before we actually do the shadow work ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if we do the shadow work ourselves, that'll kind of like combat the whole, city girls, we up, you know what I'm saying? Because nobody wants to feel like they're being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to do for you, but I don't want to feel like I'm goofy for doing for you. You know what I'm saying? Make you look bad. You feel me?
Yeah. And that's a prime example of that toxic femininity is it is playing on your desire to do right by me, right? Or what you want to do as a man. So I know that. So I'm going to try to use that finesse, right? That to do it and get things from you. But I don't really rock with you, right? I want to get a meal. I want to get the Birkin bag. I want to say that I have all of these dudes and this, that, and the third. Well, I'm sorry, some of the ladies are gonna hate me. That is toxic as fuck. I can't get with that. I just cannot get with that at all. And it makes me one of the good girls or the nice girls. When guys come to me, they are in that trauma place where, okay, so why is she cooking for me? Is she trying to game me? Oh, there's no possible way that she's really submissive like this because she's trying to run game. So now he's looking at me with, from the side eye, like, can I trust that? And it's like, dang, I have to now, like a lot of men have done, had to go through this process to break down these walls to show that you are authentic and true. And like, I'm a real person. This is no game. This is the reciprocity that you're looking for. But now that's so exhausting. And I blame City Girl vibes for that. Hot Girl Summer for that. I blame y'all. So.
Toxic music does not help. Cardi B, all of them. Because now it's like like you said earlier, Brian, how it was like the submissive word comes into play. Because now they see us as being that because we have an ulterior motive or something to gain just because we want to cook or clean or, hey, let me take your jacket off when you walk in the door. Let me give you a foot massage. Like, what do you want? It's like, dang, that can't even be me. Like, I'm wifey material. Like she said, like, this is just what I do. I'm a natural nurturer, care. I'm so loving. I do everything out of love, especially if somebody is, reciprocating the energy that I'm providing them. It's like, then they have that in the back of their mind, like you said. And now it's like, I got to go through loops and hoops and showers. I got to be, you got to go extra and overboard to reassure that person that, hey, I'm not here to hurt you. We a team, baby. Like, come on.
Exactly.
It's a team game.
Exactly.
I feel you on that.
I'm with you there. And you really said something with the, with the catering. Because it's like I told you, it's like we've normalized bitchiness to where now when a man gets catered to, instead of him seeing that as strength and a woman loving him, he starts to see it as weakness.
Right.
And it's that we confuse ourselves basing what we need out of a person off of the bad examples.
Yeah. And I think that it's to be expected now. As a woman right now in this age, we're going to have to accept that city girl, hot girl summer has ruined or affected a lot of men. And now we're going to have to love these men back to a certain level of wholeness in that regard. I'm a show improved type person. So I hear your words, but let me see your actions. And so I think it's quite in our nature to understand that has taken place, and we can definitely be consistent enough for you to see that I am real. I am who I say I am. This is me. So this from straight up and down like 6 o'clock. If I'm going to cater to you, there's going to be no difference in 6 months, 2 years. It is who I am. And I think it's unfair, I guess, but I feel like if you're in that, if that's who you are, it won't take long for him to really see that you're authentic in it, if that makes sense.
That's a good point you brought up, though, because I will have to say, in some of my history, I've dealt with some wonderful women, and I've had that started out with the catering, but then as we got into the third quarter and fourth quarter, you know, they just want to shoot the ball. They don't want to pass it no more. You know,
talking about your food in there. It's in there. It's in there. Go get it. It's in there. Right, it's in there. Yeah, and I think those are the things that that's to me a toxic trait, because we would identify that as a male to say, hey, he was wine and dining me in the beginning and now he stopped doing that, you know, so we gotta, you know, play it right. So that's how you can kind of identify if she's real, right? Just like as a woman, we are looking for consistency in our men. Are they who they say that they are? So I would challenge the men to look for that same consistency in the women. Allow her to do her thing. And if you see that, okay, she used to cater to you, bring you hot meals and all of that, and all of a sudden it's like your food is in there, like, babe, where is it? Like,
exactly.
Oh, you made me a plate? Nah, I didn't even make you a plate. Like, now that's their temperature check. Like, hold on. If you were doing all the things correct, then that tells you that there was some like fake it till you make it type thing. So, and that's toxic. And there's women that do that. And I got a real problem with that because I'm authentic and I'm real. And so now I do have to do that extra work, you know, in explaining, or he couldn't enjoy the plate that I'm bringing him or all of that because of side eye. Like, this is good, but okay, did she poison? Like, what'd she do? You know, because of this previous, those previous women. So I think men should really start looking at the consistency of these women who claim to be in their feminine bag.
Right. And, you know, we also need to check to make sure we all have boundaries too, because the last time I checked, there's millions of people that have never even been in a healthy relationship to even know what healthy looks like. How to have a conversation, how to open up, you know, like what does it look like? So that's why, you know, you hear, well, you know, we've been through everything together. We went up the wall. So, and we still together. Like, you think that's great? Like, what? I don't think so. And that's another thing that's normalized. That's like, man, like, really, I gotta really like do extra work now. It's like, that's never talked about. Like, who has seen a healthy connection? Most people are raised by aunties, uncles, grandmas, or don't even have parents, you know what I mean, to even grow up in a household to see what a healthy relationship is. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you go off of that? Like, and then you have all these songs. Here comes society. Here goes social media, just ruining the bag even more, like making us work even harder for us good women, right? Over here, it's like, all these songs and all this and that. It's just like, it's terrible. It's really society and social media. I swear to you, like that hit a major point for us. You know what I mean? Because it even changed. Think about it. What they say in music. Remember, songs used to be 6 minutes long and the love making music, and now it's like, I gotta. You can't understand these fools. So it's like there's no substance anymore. None. You know, and so.
I'm gonna say something real quick, and I'm gonna pass to my man. I don't necessarily think it's the music. I mean, because music is entertainment to me, and don't get me wrong, it's probably gonna be some weak-minded people that the things they hear in music they think is a emulation of how life is supposed to be.
Programming, right?
But on another level, though, I think the first thing you said with the having never seen a healthy relationship, I think that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
It's true. I mean, think about it, you guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's where do you start? Where do you begin? Like, is a person even willing to start and learn and unprogram and reprogram to value a woman and vice versa? You know, like, it's like, how do we value one another and come together as a collective and really like cherish one another, nourish one another, and we're open to be vulnerable. There's nothing like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to, you know what I mean? Like, where is that at? Like, where do we start? Where do we begin? And that's where I think conversing with one another is major. Nowadays, people don't even want to do that. It's like WYD, all these acronyms, like, where you at? Let me swoop you up. Like, what? First of all, like, wait a minute. You know who you're talking to right now? So it's, you know, and that deals with society, what's going on and what's trending, and you just catch on your environment, who you hang around, who you talk to, all of that matters, you know, because you catch on to that, you grab onto all of those things. So it's like, can you be within your own divine feminine energy and like be that nurturer, and you guys can come together, create, make money together, like be like Jay-Z and Beyonce, like make something, build a business, build an empire together. Like, where's that energy? You know what I mean? Like, everyone's so scared now. My money's my money, your money is your money. Like, I can't tell you nothing, or you know what I mean? It's just so divided.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's so weak. It's like, we're stronger together. Like,
that's it right there. It's weakness. People are scared. They scared out of their minds.
Why
I think that?
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is though? Because I feel they're scared too. You know what I'm saying? To try again. But why do you think that is though?
This is what I think. I think people are scared because they got PTSD. They've had a bad experience when they were younger, you know, and now they got walls up that they never bring down.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what you do, and they'll even act like the wall is down, but the minute you slip up or you do something that wasn't in the frame of expectation they have for you, exactly, bam, it goes right back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, I truly, and don't get me wrong, there's on both sides of the fence, you got bad actors, and you're gonna always have bad actors, and that's just part of life. You're gonna get with people, and some people gonna show you them, and then some people gonna show you a representative, and that's just what it is.
What it is. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the deal is, don't take that bad experience with you to the next experience.
Mm-hmm.
Learn. What you need to do is learn how to see the BS, the bullshit earlier. That way, so when you deal with another person, as soon as you see some bullshit, you can start questioning. Hey, hold on. What's this about? You know, because I'm a communicator, right? What's that about? Mm-hmm. And when they give you an explanation, you know whether or not it's something real or if it's something you just made up, try to make it sound good.
Right.
And then have the heart to say, all right, hey man, you know, I'm gonna catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
Right. I think that. Go ahead, Swan.
A lot of people don't have the confidence within themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within themselves to stand up for what they believe in. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I didn't grow up in a healthy environment. You know, I didn't see my mom in a healthy relationship. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really see it until I got older. You know what I'm saying? Until my 20s, and by that time, I was already married, and thinking that, you know, this is how it's supposed to be. This is just, you know, how life's supposed to be. You know, you find a woman, you know, you marry that person, you guys have a family, you do things a certain way, and it's like the Partridge Family. You know what I mean? It's that white picket fence and the whole image of what we think something is, but we never really actually see what a healthy family looks like. And I think because we don't see what a healthy family looks like, we end up not being whole, right? And then jumping into a relationship with somebody who's also not whole, and then have kids, and then now our kids now are reaping the toxic reward, if you will, of us not being whole, or knowing how to become whole within ourselves to be able to have a successful, healthy relationship. And then now we just pass that on to our next generation. That next generation, now passing it on to the next generation. And it's a toxic environment. You know what I'm saying? That we never address. We never get to the nucleus of the core of that relationship. And because we never really tap into that, we just keep seeing unhealthy stuff. I see it all the time. When you go to social media, I see a woman, and I don't want to laugh, right? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to laugh at all. And it's hard not to laugh, but it happens every time, right? Every time I see a woman post a new dude online on social media, I'm like, damn, bro, like, I hope it lasts. But what I've been seeing is, baby girl, like 2 years ago, I seen you with another dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had pictures of another dude up. You know what I mean? Now it's another dude, and now you got tattoos of this dude. And like, when do you actually stop what you're doing? When do you actually stop what you're doing and say, you know what? It's me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the
Because
problem.
he's never there.
Why my
Oh,
relationships are not successful?
Oh,
well,
Man.
I will say that. Oh, go ahead, Twan. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
So I just was touching on accountability of the idea of, you know, it's really up to us to really be the change we want to see. And if we can't do that, then we can't be mad at other people for coming into our life and finessing us, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say to the point about Twana, you and I have had conversations, but I'll say it publicly. I call myself like the reformed dummy, right?
Hold on. What you about to say publicly? You gotta text me first, because we talk about
No. It ain't that, Twan. Shut up.
We be going deep.
It's about me. It's about me. So, but that I've had a concept that I would call the reform dummy, right? As a woman, we were raised to think in a certain way that, it's the house, the picket fence, the husband, all of these things. I'm the prize. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit there and look pretty and be picked, right? And then when I'm picked, if he doesn't marry me within a certain amount of time, it's a problem, right? Or I'm going to start putting on the press. And so I was good as far as catering and all of that stuff. So wifey material for sure. But I didn't understand my toxic femininity in that sense of, okay, just because I was doing those things does not mean that he's going to marry me because we've been together for this amount of time, right? Or I'm putting on this press, right? So I would ask for 10 things for him to do, right? And he may ask me for 3 things. Make sure the dinner's done on time by 6 o'clock. Make sure the house is clean and, the kids got, they're squared away. 3 things. It was so hard for me to get all those 3 things done, but I attacked him for doing 9 out of the 12 things that I asked him to do. He did all 9, and I could not appreciate that. I was like, well, you didn't do all 12. So, why wasn't dinner done at time? Well, I was with the kid. Like, it was stuff like that. And I'm talking young 21 to, I was in like a 9.5 year relationship. So from 21 to 30. So not knowing myself really, what I really wanted or what I was looking for, I tried to make a situation. Does that make sense? Right. I tried to force it, and based on I'm the prize. Now, how I think is I'm still the prize, but not the only prize. It's
we all prizes, right?
Yeah, we all, right? All prizes, right? I still say that. I'm a prize for sure. But I'm not gonna say that my king, my husband to be, is not a prize. How would I not think of him in that way? So I think we have to change that narrative. It'll take sisters like me and Official Vixen to say, hey sis, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but the way that we're going about doing things is toxic as hell, and we need to change our approach. I believe that, like, wholeheartedly. You're gonna have to. I had to go in within myself and learn Benet and what Benet likes. I had to learn to really love myself. I know it sounds cliche to say, but I know it to be true. If you don't love yourself, how in the hell can you love somebody else? And so until we take that time to love ourselves, because now we're going to choose different now that we love ourselves, that's going to have a trickle down effect on, our relationships and how we show up in our relationships.
I agree. And, hurt people. So if you're in a connection with someone and both of you guys are not saying, wait a minute, let me look at the man in the mirror. Hold on. Because, you have to remember everyone that you attract is a reflection of you in some form or fashion. And people don't even peep that.
Because it's painful, sis.
Your values.
Because it's painful.
Yes, and so they don't want to look in the mirror and see the pain. So then we have vices. So we're smoking, we're drinking, we're overeating, we're overworking, we're doing whatever to run from ourselves versus working on it and admitting it and having accountability, like you said, Twan, earlier. You know, like nobody wants to do the work in order to, you know, receive all the blessings that we're supposed to receive. And
that work is on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And another piece that I think is a reason for toxic femininity and toxic masculinity is we have lost the definition of what love is.
Come on, talk about it.
You know, to me, in my estimation, in my time on this earth, love is what you do for other people. But we so focused on what a person is going to do for us that we don't think about the love that we're supposed to be showing. And also we lose focus of gratitude, being grateful for the things that are done for us. And we have too many expectations of what my man got to do this, my man got to do this, my man got to do that, my man got to do this. Look, first of all, your concept of what love is so narrow that you don't even know no better. So
right.
Stop creating checklists and let that man love you the way he know how to love you. And then if it's sufficient for you, cool. And if it's insufficient, get out the way.
Correct.
I just had a conversation about that today, actually. It's kind of like, it's not like you're trying to blast anyone's faults or anything. It's like me, I want to be like, how can we come together as a unit? But we have to converse about some shit. You can't just sweep it under the rug and like whatever's unsaid, and we're just gonna vibe and see how the vibe goes. No, there's some things that need to have you need to have a conversation about. Period. Yeah. And also, it's all about, you know, are you willing to open up and change? If you're not willing to open up and compromise or notice something that's not working as far as a behavior for yourself personally, then what makes you think you're going to change for me? So I don't expect shit from nobody. Like, I just work on
you should never expect a person to change.
People where they're at. Meet them where they're at. And if it works out, great. If we're vibrating on the same frequency, we vibing high and all the things, hey. But if not, moving on. Like,
exactly. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? Not all choices are good choices.
Not that hard, but
it's okay to be in a situation to where, you know what, things are not going good. It's okay to say something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people will be in bad situations and then not say nothing and then blame the other person, you know, when the relationship doesn't work out. Now, don't get me wrong. The man is ahead. The man is supposed to lead. But unfortunately, in a perfect world, that'll be the case. But unfortunately, in reality, there's a lot of males on this earth that don't have men to show them how to be men. You understand what I'm saying? To graduate from being a male to being a man. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said he's going to actually start implementing some form of rites of passage in his martial arts studio. Because I'm like, dude, I feel that there needs to be a rites of passage for young males to know, you know, this is, you know, what you do as a male, and this is graduating to being a man, taking on responsibility, being more accountable. You know what I mean? Focusing on your purpose, figuring out what you want to do in life, and chasing that. And then the women are going to come regardless. I never would subscribe to telling my kids, "Hey, man, focus on chasing women," because you're going to lose yourself chasing somebody else, right? And men and women understand this. Men and women are not the same. So I'm not gonna say what's the same for men is the same for women. You will lose yourself as a man if you're chasing a woman. However, if a woman is chasing you, then that means you're chasing your purpose. That means you will have a level of value that you can respect and appreciate. So if she's chasing you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You understand what I'm saying? But if you got a woman that you're chasing her, I guarantee you it's going to be short-lived because she's going to be like, man, I'm supposed to be chasing you because you're chasing your purpose, you're chasing me, and I'm basically supposed to be chasing you. So I don't feel, and I don't go off of, we had conversations about this before. I don't really look at wrong or right. You know what I'm saying? We said before, hey, what's sufficient and what's insufficient.
Yeah.
You know, working and what's not working. And as a young man, I tell all the little boys that I'm cutting their heads, we having these type of conversations. If you're arm distance away, then we're having these conversations. Hey, don't be out here chasing women. Hey, don't be out here worrying about, what you're doing. None of that type of stuff. We chase your purpose. Figure out what you want to do in life, right? Be in the gym, work out, get your mind right, get your body right, get your finances right. Be in order. That way, when she sees you, right? Whatever lifestyle she's living, when she sees you, when she comes to you, you are in such a powerful space, right? Because you created so much value within yourself. Men have to create value. Women got to preserve their joints. When she sees you, but it's going to be natural for her to look at you and be like, dude, that right there is what I want. You understand?
Yes.
So the conversation is so much more smoother. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have a certain level of confidence that you earned. You know what I'm saying? So that's that confidence, that borderline, that cockiness, it doesn't come off as negative. It's going to be received in such a loving and positive way, because she's going to understand this dude really put the work in and did the shadow work to understand that he has to be, right? He has to be for her to want to get involved with anything for her to even trust anything that he's doing.
Yeah.
I like that topic that you brought that up, because think about it, like real quick side note. A lot of people like couples wise, right? So it's like always like the man has to be the breadwinner, and everybody's like, oh, women dominate the world, and there's so much back and forth with that. And so sometimes you're in a relationship and you could be jealous or envious of the person that you're with. It's happening so common, and it's like, why?
Competition in a relationship.
Yeah, if you, like you said, if we all just focus on our purpose, right? Work on ourselves, do our work, heal and all the things, and go towards our purpose. Like you said, we can come together, and now we can have that like white picket fence matrimony. Now we can just focus on, does our energy vibrate on the same plane? Like now we can worry about all the bells and whistles after that, because you're confident, you're happy. So that's why I tell people, like, you can't fault somebody for, oh, I want this and I want that, but you're not even there yourself, honey. Get it together. Like, why are you worried about a man trying to pay for some stuff for you? Like, you worried about dick and dinner, and I'm over here in my bag, honey. Like, it's coming to me. Money flows to me easily, and you over here worried about somebody else trying to take care of you. Worry about yourself first. That way you can cater, and you don't have to say these things like, oh, he can't do this for me anyways, but you can't even do it for yourself.
Right. And I do want to touch on a little bit, back it up a little bit. You mentioned something about preparation for the boys. I definitely, and I know there's always camps for girls and things like that, but from me personally speaking, I don't see that there are things that we're really telling the young girls the truth, right? What I know now, we're still teaching them the white picket fence thing, right? That this is all you have to do, right? This is why you're seeing teenage girls or girls that are 9 years old can beat a face better than I can, right? Why are they having YouTube channels, learning how to put makeup on and all of that? We put too much emphasis on being that city girl. That's what's glorified. Instead of saying, okay, since there's a baby girl, princess, queen, that you're going to go through a preparation, right? You are going to learn how to cook. You are going to learn how to take care of a home. You're going to learn how to take care of your body. You're going to learn how to take care of your spirit, your mental, right? You're going to learn those things. Yes, part of your upkeep may be makeup if that's your thing, right? However that is going to be. But it is not, that's not the center of how you're looking, is the only thing, right? Right. It's not the priority, because if you're really preparing me or preparing the young girls to be married or to be wives, it ain't just about that, right? Right. Yes, men are physical, so you're going to see the beauty, but can she cook? Can she maintain a house? How is her spirit? Is she feminine? Does she know that I need at least 30 minutes when I first get into the door? I don't want to hear about Keisha and them, what happened at work, right? Right. So we have to get in that preparation state for our young women. That's a huge thing for me. I want to tell these young girls what I know now and what I've discovered. And that happened through my process of, okay, aunties and them, and grandmamas that didn't have successful relationships. Let me think about that. So I'm going to take this advice, but you are on husband number 6. TT, you are never can find a good one. All of them go to jail, right? So, okay, let me just pause. And that is like, we really owe it to our sisters and to our young ladies to let's be honest. The way that we're teaching our young girls is not right. Right? We're not doing it. We're teaching them to be toxic in essence from the beginning, to manipulate their beauty, to say that they don't even have to get education. And I know that there's a sensitive topic about women being in their bag, but I still feel like a part of a woman, she should have a certain amount of worth. Not that it is important to the men, but she should have her own stuff going on, right? She should be able to take care of herself and not needing him. So there's a certain level of, I am a whole person. We've been teaching people 2 halves come together, make a whole. No, that's not it. It is one whole coming together to create this new thing. And that's the one. We can't be half and half. So that's the one.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I want to add a little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to add another piece to that, on the teaching of the young girls. I also got to add, though, men got a problem that we have a huge component in that, because a lot of men, when they have daughters, they have a hard time telling their daughters no. They have a hard time punishing their daughters. So they get it in their head that that's how a man is supposed to be. He's supposed to be a pushover.
Okay, so you touched on a nerve. I was dating someone who has a daughter, and we were in a previous relationship with my daughter. So I watched him assist and be a part of that household. He's definitely was different with my daughter versus his daughter. His daughter, sweetest, beautiful, gorgeous little girl, but she will have the tantrum. She will fall out. She will, she screams at him. She will kick him. She will do all of this stuff. I mean, just really totally disrespect him. Spoiled, right? And so in my presence, I grab her and I say, hey, don't talk to your daddy like that. You apologize. You don't treat him this way, right? But personally, when I'm just kind of like sitting back watching the situation, he's like, he'll let her have her tantrum. And he says, are you done? Is that enough? You're okay. Like, he is gentle with her and he doesn't want to, I guess, be raw with her. But as a woman, I see that and I'm like, I told him, I said, you are creating a monster. You've already done that. She's 4 years old and she thinks that this is okay. Right. And you have custody of her. So this is all on you at this point. Like, he has to step up and have those hard conversations and say, I said no, and that's that. Right. And if she's falling out, you're going to have to deal with that. You can't let her have this tantrum or scream at you. I was just appalled. I was like, where was that energy? Like, my daughter would never, if she said that to you, even though this wasn't your daughter, it would have been a problem. So it was interesting to kind of see how he dealt with his own. But yes, I think men have I'm a daddy's girl. My dad didn't play that. Not at all. My dad didn't have to, he never whooped me twice for the same thing. And he probably whooped me 5 times as a kid, like max, just because I didn't want to disappoint him. Right. He talked to me more than he put his hands on me. And so I think that is a thing, but you can't let these little girls have a tantrum like that. You got to tell them no, and then explain why. right?
Right.
And I think that'll be a different result.
Yeah, I got 3 daughters, and my oldest is the only one that ever threw a tantrum, and she threw it once. And I've never had to do a lot of spanking for my girls. I mean, I have done it, but not, for 3 of them, I could probably count them on one hand.
Exactly.
The times I did it, because I'm a talker, and I'm gonna talk to you. Not to mention, I'm gonna hit you where it really hurt. I'm gonna take something you like.
Cool. That's what Daddy
right
did.
there.
That's that discipline right there. You like, wait, Daddy, no. You're like, yeah, you will perform. You'll get your act together.
Exactly. You'll figure it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think men have are a factor when it comes to this increased incidence of toxic femininity.
Woo.
Like, how do you like having 3 girls? How do you plan on having that conversation? Because I think, at the end of the day, they gotta learn from the first teachers, which is us. You know what I mean? So we gotta kind of let them know what's out there in the world, what's going on in the world. Have you had to have any of those type of conversations? Which oldest? Because obviously, when they get to a certain level of understanding, then you can have those conversations. Like, how do you have those conversations with them?
I don't know what you're asking me.
How do you have the conversations about, or do you even go into, the roles of, women today and women before?
I don't talk about roles because this is me. We're in the 21st century. Women got the right to vote. Women got the right to work. Women have fought to try to get to equal footing with men. So I am not going to reduce any of my daughters to thinking that they have a role to play. They can be whoever they so choose to be. I'm not going to tell them that this is your role in society.
I like that. That's how my dad raised me. Like, no matter what phase or stage or anything, he just always was there, and he taught me street smarts first before anything.
That's what I do. I teach street smarts. I teach them how to recognize and read people to understand the difference between when a person is genuine and when a person is disingenuous, a snake. And I tell you, and the one thing I tell my daughters more than anything, I've told every one of them is, hey, watch your friends and don't be afraid to cut a friend off. If your friend tries to bully or boss you around, I expect you to stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask, I guess for me, I agree that I think men have a huge role in this man-woman thing and how femininity comes about in a way, right? Because and I got to watch my words and how I say this, but I'll say this. Had I known if I would have known certain things or heard certain things from men, it would have definitely changed the type of woman I became, sooner. I wouldn't have had to kind of go through some of this stuff because I was able to learn. And, my dad, I feel like he did his job. He told me what he felt that I needed to know. And I went out into the world with, street smarts, education. He talked to me about my hygiene. I can cook and clean. So I feel like he prepared me in that sense to go out into the world. But I don't think there was enough conversation about like self-discovery, like you were saying, Brian. Like, you can be who you want to be, but how does that relate to the man or the men that you choose, or how you show up in relationships, if that makes sense. So I can be empowering, right? And I'm a mortgage broker. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18 before then, right? And so financially, I'm in a bag, and sometimes that can be intimidating. I don't know, whatever. I don't know why. I don't lead with that.
Hey, it's not intimidating. It's just those the other guys are weak.
They're weak, exactly.
Right. So and that's why I say that. And it's like, okay, I'm doing the things that I enjoy doing, and I feel like a woman should have, her own money, until you have your husband, and we can have that conversation then. And even still, it's
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, man.
it's
You
that.
gotta work.
Well, no. I'm not saying
Make
that
money.
it doesn't work, but I'm saying, because I'm gonna work. I have a company. I've been an entrepreneur. I'm not gonna stop that. But I think when I say her own money, when you're in a marriage, it's not just her money now. It's our things. That's what I was kind of going with that. But I feel like if I would have known that having certain conversations can make someone feel a certain way, or if I'm in the way that I'm nurturing, if a man is aspiring to be an entrepreneur and I have that experience, I know that there's a way to bring that conversation about without being toxic or overly masculine, if that makes sense, right? I didn't know how to have some of these conversations with men, the inner workings of, all right, if you're frustrated or you got fired from your job, women naturally as a nurturer, they will jump in and try and fix the situation.
Right.
Had I had more insight, I would have known that for me, that's not my place to try and fix that. My place is to, hey, I'll ask you, are you good? You want to talk about it? If you don't want to talk about it, cool. I will create a calming environment where you can lay your head in my lap and we can watch TV and I can rub your head or whatever and let you figure it out. Not that I had to, what was that, soul food, right? Call and try and help you get a job behind your back and all that other stuff, right? And a lot of times women think that that's what we're supposed to do. And so we're confused, like, well, it's no big deal. You got the job. No, that's out of line. So I think that
you get the job.
Yeah, right. I
got it.
Yeah, you got to do that. And that's why I think some women missed that concept in that movie Soul Food, why he was so mad. I can get my own job. I don't need you to do this. And so I think for fathers or just men in general, we want you guys to talk to us and tell us that inside information to say, hey, he don't need that. Your position, he'll let you know if he needs that from you. Not that you gotta hop in and get in your nurturer bag. Does that make sense? You don't have to try and figure it out for him.
That goes hand in hand with knowing what's healthy and what's not, and setting boundaries. A lot of people don't have boundaries anymore. Like, where's boundaries? Like,
you know what boundaries are. Like when you come into a relationship, that's even new for me. You know what I'm saying? Because in all my relationships, I do what the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I've always carried myself, right? And
me too.
I've never I never really knew anything about that. I honestly never knew that was a thing. You know what I'm saying? But those boundaries is what allows the relationship to not have miscommunication. It allows a person to not feel disrespected. It allows a person to feel like they're being heard. I knew that was a thing. You know what I'm saying? The man I am now I'm like, okay, well, what will I tolerate? What would I not tolerate?
Right.
What's not okay to me? And when I approach people, when I approach any relationship, right? In my mind, I already know what I will or will not tolerate. So if I see certain things, I'm like, hey, man, that's not it. That's not it. You know what I'm saying?
So I want to add something to that. So boundaries are good in the beginning stages, but as y'all continue to build and y'all get to an equilibrium, there's no need for boundaries.
Because you're compromising at that point, and
because at that point, because once you get to that level, you're complementing each other naturally.
Exactly.
There's no need for boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all like it's like when you building a house. You know what I'm saying? When you build it, you got boundaries, you got your frame, but once it's up and it's solid, you take all the other stuff down and it stands on its own.
Exactly.
Right. And I that's the point. So I was making that one and one coming together and make this new thing, right? And so, but it starts with you being a whole person. That's the big part. You got to
Yeah.
be a whole healed person. Like for the people who don't know what a whole person, whole healed, like you are self-sufficient. You are not meeting people to attach yourself to them for something that you're lacking.
You accept yourself.
Yeah.
You have self-acceptance.
Yes.
You've graduated from self-esteem where you worried about your place in the world, and now you're at self-acceptance. You know who you are and you accept it.
Yes, I love that. And then now who you're vibrationally matching is going to, you know, you'll have a different level of a different caliber person that you're dating, because once you're out of that self-esteem and you're in that self-acceptance, there's certain things that you're not going to accept, right? You're not going to date certain people anymore. So now your caliber of dating has changed and you're more likely to get into the flow, that organic thing. Right.
Higher.
Exactly. And then you mentioned love, and it's like you're going to be able to really flow better in love, because people think that just because you've been together for a long time that is in love.
Right.
No, you are together. You are in agreement. You're not in love. You can be together for 45 years. You're just in agreement that we're not going to leave each other, but we're not in love.
Security.
To be in love is to be a vibrational match. You are bouncing ideas off of each other. You're just flowing. That's the love part. Other than that, you're in agreement. And so my goal is to always work and never stop making love. That's gonna be the thing.
I'm never goosebumps. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Never stop making love. So it is always going to be in that part. So yeah.
And that's actually a frequency, believe it or not. When you get to the whole idea of just being in a position of just being loved, right? That's actually a certain frequency.
That's the highest frequency, honey.
Operate off of, and when you operate from that way of thinking, then, like you said before, you're attracting people who reciprocate that. Now, the healing relationships are now happening. You know what I mean? I feel you can heal through love. You know, what you do for other people can.
I disagree.
Oh, okay. Let's touch on that. So, and let me give my thought, and then I want you to touch on that, B.
For sure.
I feel that, me personally, when you show, because love is something you do for other people. When you're showing other people that side of you, or that side of a relationship that they've never been exposed to. Some people, were in relationships and never knew what it was like to, get a nice gift on a day that they wasn't even expecting it. And that wasn't their birthday. Some people don't even know what it's like to get a nice gift on their birthday, and be in relationships with people who, who are actually seeing that type of stuff. So I again, my personal perspective is, I feel that if you're in a healthy space, right? If you're in a healthy space in a healthy relationship, the love you show another person may be able to help them get through, some of their hurts, habits, and hangups that they had in the past in previous relationships. But Brian doesn't think so. I'm willing to listen.
All right, I'm about to give you a little bit. So the healing from love from another person, that's a Band-Aid. Because the only way you can really heal from the pain and the trauma that you've had in your own life is through yourself. It's just like nutrition. You got to eat good if you want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. You got to think better. You got to heal yourself. And then you got to accept who you are. A lot of people, in their trauma, they are disillusioned and they think of themselves as something other than who they truly are. Mm-hmm. The only way you can really heal is like the only way you can get over being an alcoholic is to recognize you're alcoholic. The only way you can get over being a drug addict is to recognize you're a drug addict.
Yeah.
True.
The only way you're going to heal is to recognize that you're broken, and you have to fix that. The love from another person is going to feel good. It's going to be a Band-Aid, and it might help you to fix yourself, but you are the only person capable of healing yourself. Nobody else can.
I agree with you.
True.
Because let me take it back. Think about why that is. Side note, because our whole lives we are taught to go outside of ourselves. So we know who we are until we're old enough to unprogram and reprogram and gain our own values, morals, and beliefs.
I've been deprogrammed.
You get it? Our whole life to go outside of ourselves. Think about that though for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
But I agree with you though. We have the God within us.
It's all about the God within us. You know, like I was having a conversation with somebody, and we did a podcast on expectations on our previous one, and the question was, what are your expectations of God? And I said, I have no expectations of God. He's given me everything I need to be sufficient. So I need to depend on me.
Everything.
I don't need to depend on nobody else. I don't need to put my faith and my hope and my wishes into a third party. Yeah. I need to look within first and fix me, because I've been given everything I need.
Yeah. And I think it takes, so like my take on love, they say about unconditional love, you can't express or feel unconditional love without understanding the conditions, right? So
love is good, but go ahead, I'm listening.
Right. Well, I think it's a practice, right? Because you can't have unconditional love without understanding the conditions, right?
I agree.
You have to know, right? So I think it's a practice. It's a lifelong thing that you're going to have to do and walk out. And so I think when you are loving someone, that can help them get to a place to look within, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And that's why I think you can try and lead them there. And ultimately, like I do agree with you, Brian, that I can't make you do anything. Just like as no matter how, and I love that you use like the alcohol ism or drugs, right? You could love a person and say, Pookie, I want you to come on, please get help. Like, you know, and until they feel it within themselves to go in, do the work and go through rehab, we can cry and beg and plead all we want to and say, we love you. I got you and I support you. But until they are ready to say, my name is Benet and I'm a crackhead or whatever,
exactly.
Right? Right? And realize it within myself, then that's when that journey begins. So I believe that for love, you're doing it for other people, but since we are all mirrors of ourselves, you're really doing it in a selfish way. I think it is really, you're loving, when you love on other people, you're loving more on yourself, because it is a mirror going back in. I can't say that I love me and say that I love my neighbor if I'm treating them crazy. So then that's still a mirror to me, that there's something in me I still don't love me full-heartedly, right? Because I'm treating others in a different way. So, yeah. So I'm definitely, that's my other nickname, is the love energy. So I operate on that. I'm always going to show love, even in the face of my enemies. And here's the thing that was crazy. So, quick little story, long story short. I got so intoxicated over the weekend that somebody, a chick that doesn't even like me, okay, helped me in my level of distress. Okay. So when you operate in a place of love and you're that kind of energy, it's undeniable that it's going to come back. Right. So it's like, you know, I'll use it.
Expect it to.
Huh?
So, but don't expect it to.
Oh no, I didn't
think that it does.
Oh, I was so grateful. But what I'm saying is, it's like, it's just showed me that's that good karma, right? That your love got to be so dope and so abundant that your enemy is going to have to serve you, even when in your time of need, even when you wouldn't expect them to, right? So it's going to show up in your life regardless. And so it's like, you hate it. You don't like me, but you did all of this in spite of. So really, that was like that karmic energy coming back to me. So I think we have to continue to keep our love energy pot full, because that's what's coming back to you. It's never wasted.
I
Yes.
could dig it. I don't believe in karma, by the way.
Well,
It's dharma. The good
okay,
part is called dharma.
Karma
Dharma,
doesn't
okay.
exist.
Everything good coming back to you.
Karma doesn't exist. Now, what I believe is that you're a magnet.
Yeah, it's energy.
Everything's energy. Whatever you dish out, it's like a boomerang. It comes right back.
Right. I believe we're magnets, and we attract what we are.
Exactly. And so if you keep putting that out into the world, no matter what, you're never going to be in insufficient funds, right? My bank account is fat when it comes to love. And even if I strike out, right, I date someone and it doesn't work out, I can still extract the positive from that. I've taken that time and said, okay, I've even asked, like, almost like an exit interview. Tell me the truth. What were the things that I need to work on? I can accept it or not, but to have that data, like, was crucial in my evolution of being a reformed dummy, right? I had to ask myself and take that accountability. I feel like I'm dope, saucy, beautiful, all of those things, but I'm not perfect. And a lot of times, I'll speak for myself as a woman, we don't want to hear that we're not pretty and perfect. What do you mean that I'm not as jazzy or as I think I am? No, sometimes, your shit stinks too, right? And sis, and
Right.
here are the few things that you're going to have to look at. And I can choose to accept it or not, but this is a person that has experienced me. So I think it's worth looking at how you're being experienced and kind of working on that.
Constructive criticism. A lot of people they don't know how to take that, and they run from themselves. That's where they don't want to change and work on themselves.
All criticism is constructive.
You said what?
All criticism is constructive. It's all a matter of the lens that you're looking at it.
That's all about perspective.
That's
all about perspective.
It's all about perspective.
All about perspective. I agree.
And having that criticism, I chose to take that as, all right, this is the work that you're gonna have to do, right? Because this is relationship number 2. Pause. What's happening here? Like, really evaluate. Is it that you had a bad choice? What was going on in your life? Like, what happened? Was it something that you were doing? And I think we have to take that time to understand how we're being experienced. That's a whole nother conversation. A lot of times people just hop from relationship to the other one and say, he didn't understand me, he didn't do this, or she didn't do that, and not seeing, okay, you've had a couple of situations. What's the common denominator? And it's not just because they're new people. What's the common denominator there?
That's the part right there that people never pay attention to. All your failed relationships, who the one that is not in none of them anymore?
Right.
So don't think you got it figured out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So take that time. It's okay, sis. It's okay, bro, to take some time. And if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, so be it. That's the best investment. Like, if you really want to experience the best out of life, bring the best out of yourself. Like, that's the best experience that you'll ever have, because once you are whole and fulfilled and you know you and you got you can experience people on that level, right? That's just going to change your interactions, and you'll treat people different. Because I respect myself, I'm not going to disrespect you just because I don't agree with you. I can listen to your perspective and say, okay, I can see how that works for you. That may not be for me, but I can respect it. I'm not going to internalize something that you're doing and try and change myself. That's not happening. Yeah, it is. So yeah. Okay. So now we got to switch gears to talk about, we've been on this feminine. Now let's talk about this masculine toxicity. What's up?
I don't believe masculinity is ever toxic. Me personally, I feel when you don't understand what masculinity is, you know what I'm saying, you could make some decisions that's not favorable, right? But I think the idea of masculinity as a whole in itself is needed. I mean, we live in a culture right now. I like to say my perspective on everything, right? I think we live in a country full of people who run the country are operating from a less than masculine head space. You know what I mean? And because of that, we have a culture right now where everything's being advertised that men are too masculine. You know what I mean? You're doing too much. You're too boisterous. You're too loud. You can't tell me what to do. All of that stuff to me is just ways to feminize a culture. But again, that's just my perspective of things.
I'll tell you, there is a toxic masculinity, just like femininity could be toxic, masculinity can be toxic. Because it's not necessarily that masculinity in itself is toxic, just like femininity in itself isn't toxic. It's just
Correct.
the way a person goes about exhibiting masculine behavior. So, in on toxic masculinity, it's here's the deal. It's been glorified by society. We aren't far removed from the caveman. So we come from a mindset of conquer. Conquer money, conquer women, conquer land, conquer people. And the thing is, when you're coming from a conquer space, that's toxic.
Yeah, well, for me, I agree. There is a space that masculinity can be toxic in the sense that you're using it in the same way that you're abusing your masculinity for a gain, right? You're playing a game or doing something like that.
Conquer.
I do believe that, right? However, what I don't subscribe to, I think that women can misuse that word in labeling a man as toxic because he's corrected you, right? And because he's corrected you, now that's toxic. Why? Okay, as you're free to be whoever you're going to be, right? But should he allow you to put your fingers in his face and cuss him out in public? So if he tells you or ridicules you in any kind of way, now don't tell me what to do. You get to neck rolling and all of this, right? If a man corrects you, doesn't mean that he's toxic, right? I think we don't even look up the word, right, to understand what is toxic, what is masculine like. And so we'll just label a man to that he's exhibiting toxic masculinity without really understanding what he's doing. And I think a lot of times women can do that. We do that. We will say something is toxic just because we don't like it or we don't want to change, right? Why are you talking to me like that? Or why are you flexing your muscles, or why are you using a tone with me? I've heard tone can be toxic. Well, if he's speaking passionately or speaking loud, there's a difference in a man talking to you so that in an authoritative way, and him obviously yelling at you. A woman in an argument, and when we are in the hot seat, well, don't be yelling at me. He ain't yelling at you, sis. He is talking to you and correcting you. You know what it is, right? Don't run
Absolutely.
from that and say you're yelling at me, or yeah, you're right, but you can't talk to me and no, they sit in the seat when we go off, right? It's sometimes we do got to sit in our seat and accept correction. And so that's a whole thing. And I get flat for that about correction. Well, what do you mean a man corrected? He can't correct. Yes. If I can say, know the difference between there, and there, right, as a correction, he can correct you and say the same thing, right? So come on now. That's toxic femininity to me, is that that you are in the wrong, but you're going to play the feminine thing to, well, you're talking too loud, or come on, man, you were wrong for this, right? And he's correcting you. That's not toxic. So I kind of get in flat with some of my girls about that no, you needed to be corrected. You was wrong. Though, that's not how you should act. And he should correct you. And you have to be in a place to receive correction, Now, if he is doing it to hurt you, or he's, like I said, trying to belittle you, embarrass you, do something, that's toxic. You're using your masculine muscles to make me feel small and, you know, not seen and all this other stuff. But if it's a simple correction, it's not toxic, sis. You got to allow a man to that space, especially if that's your man. So
I'm gonna back you up on that too, because I was just talking about this today with somebody. It's all about too is getting to know someone, right? So we don't know how we operate and how we respond to certain triggers, or if we're projecting, or you know, like we got to decipher all of those things when you're just learning someone, a new energy that's coming in. So that also matters too and plays a part as well. Knowing if they're just, you know, is it trauma response right now, or is he really passionate? Like, what are we doing
right.
here? He's toned down and working, right? So it's all about that too as well. That also matters. But I totally agree. Beautifully said. Yes, correction, that does matter, but you have to learn how to use your discernment and decipher. You know what I mean? Like what's what. So beautifully said. I love it. I agree.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's all about educating the miseducated.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can be the educated and the miseducated, and it's
You can
okay.
be both.
That was me. That was me.
That's okay, because at the end of the day, everything is a process. You know what I'm saying? Like everything goes through in life is a process. You know, being exposed to certain things. You don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? You guys said that earlier. You don't know what you don't know, and I think being exposed to, you know, certain positive habits, if you will, can kind of show you, you know, again, ultimately it's gonna be up to you, you know, if you want to be the change in your life. But sometimes when you see somebody treating you a certain way, or when you see somebody doing something for you, you know, it kind of opens up your eyes a little bit. Like, man, that's dope. It makes you feel good. To where now you're like, well, shit, I want to extend that back to them. You know, I want them to feel how I feel. And even if they don't receive it that way, you know, if you can create the habit of saying, you know what, even if they don't receive it that way, I still like how I feel when I feel that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I said that would kind of keep the I think you guys said it earlier. The practice of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about being, you're either efficient or inefficient.
One or the other.
Love languages matter too. Like my love language, you know, a lot of relationships nowadays, it's like, well, I cook and I clean and I should get X, Y, and Z. Well, maybe that's not his love language. He'll notice it. That ain't his love language, honey. So you can't expect him, just because you did all these things, that he's gonna be gung-ho about you and want to be like, throw you in the wall and just give you a good time. Okay, like you got to learn love languages too. Like you have to like really be observant. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. A lot of people just, and they don't give the person a chance so you can learn their love language. That totally matters within everything.
And that's so important that you said that, the 2 ears and 1 mouth. Because people are so intent on saying what they want to say that they don't take the time to listen to what's being told. Most people in conversations, they be in such a rush to respond.
Yes.
They're not even listening to the conversation.
Yeah, we have to slow down. I'm a talker, so I had to learn to listen better, because I'll say in relationships, it's a misunderstanding that men don't communicate. You guys actually are clear communicators for the most part.
Very clear.
Very clear. Now, how we listen or what we hear is something totally different. So I had to learn to, okay, when I'm engaging, I really have to slow down and ask myself, okay, what is he really saying, right? Don't have me interpret anything else. If he said, hey, be ready by 6 o'clock, it should be okay, but then what did I say? And sometimes I will ask it. I said, did you say 6 o'clock? Right? Because so that I'm like, and then I will ask a follow-up, like, well, what time do we have to be there? Right. So if I need to wiggle or have anything, but I can't just assume that, okay, well, we're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. So I could start getting ready at 6 and, leave at 6:30 because I know we only an hour away. So we'll still be 30 minutes. You don't know what he had planned. Right. So if he said be ready by 6, okay, I have to, all right, let me do what I need to do to make sure that I do what he's asking me to do, right? Be ready by 6 o'clock. That part right there was a huge thing, because if he's punctual, or if he wanted to do something sweet or nice, take the scenic route, do anything, you didn't give him the window to be romantic. You're asking for romance in your relationship, and he's telling you to be ready by 6. Well, he said 6 o'clock, but I got to do this and I got to do that. And he'll wait 15 minutes or 30 minutes. He's sitting there, he'll wait, but he's mad as fuck now because whatever he had planned, he has to rush through, or it's not going to go smooth. So now you're like, I'm ready. And he like, all right, let's go. Well, what's wrong? Nothing. He's not going to want to argue right then and there and say, I told you to be ready by 6. We gotta listen, right? We gotta take our times and listen better.
And I want to add a little bit to that right there, because this is one, and this is a fact. Now, both sexes do this, but the fair sex does it a little bit more. And adding details that aren't there.
Yes.
Or paying attention to the wrong details.
Paying attention to the wrong details is what gets you. You paying attention to the wrong thing. Let's back it up. Let me say it. Like, man.
That's what I'm saying. You got to ask for clarity. Like, what did you say? Because like that movie, He's Just Not That Into You. That's a movie that I think if women really slow down and watch that, you may see a man smile at you or say something, and in your mind you thinking, oh, he thinks I'm beautiful, this and that, and I'm like, he just said good morning. And that happens for women too. I've been in the coffee shop and said good morning, and he's like, oh yes, hey man, she liked me, so you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna go see her. Yeah, but let me shoot my shot. And I'm like, what? No, I just said good morning, right? But there's times that, and that's why I said, going back to, I believe that you guys are clear communicators more than we give you credit for. It is how we interpret the information of what you said. If you said, you know what, I'm gonna call you tomorrow, most women will be like, immediately in their mind,
it's the morning.
Yeah, you're gonna call me tomorrow, so that means by 9 o'clock. So by noon or 1 o'clock, you getting all these text messages. You know what? Have a nice life. I don't want to be with a liar. All this stuff, right?
That's codependent energy, though, where the woman has to check themselves, because that's codependent energy right there.
Yes, it is.
That's a whole other topic right there.
True, and that's what I'm saying. But that still goes into, you didn't give space for tomorrow, right? Like, right. What does that mean? And if you're the type of person that in your mind you need answers, ask him. It's not weird to be like, so what time, when should I expect a call from you? He'll tell you, I'll probably, I got XYZ, so I'll probably, hit you before I go to bed. He may, because you asked that question throughout his day, he may text you at lunch. It may not be 7 o'clock, or he may say good morning. But if you need that information, ask. Don't just take off with it and be like, well, he said tomorrow, and tomorrow for me is 9 o'clock, sis.
Exactly. Like, I'll tell you one thing, from my younger days, I would tell, I said, hey, I'll call you later.
Yes,
and he thought later meant later that day. I said, no, I said later. Later is whenever I decide to call you again. It might be 72 hours later.
That's the one that I was looking for, that word later, because there's no time frame, right? So you're if you talk to her at 9 o'clock that morning or whatever, to her, later is later on that day. And it's like, no, sis, that's not what he said. So
exactly.
Blame on that week.
yeah,
Exactly.
right.
It's blame on that month.
Yeah.
That's where it comes with closed mouth does not get fed.
And there's nothing wrong with asking for clarifying information.
Nothing wrong.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You got to clear if you need that kind of detail and it's gonna drive you crazy without having that detail, ask that question. And I've learned that men respect or can have no problem with asking direct questions. That was a hard concept for me to initially understand. I thought I needed to like take the long route and try and make sure that I'm concerned with your feelings and things like that. Right, yeah, and kind of like butter it up. I learned that really a lot of the conversation can be 2 to 3 minutes max. Boom, 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 bullet points. Is it this, and this? And let him respond, and that's that, and we're good. So yeah, you guys are better communicators than what we give you credit for, and we have to just listen a little bit better and not fill the details in with the stuff that we make up in our minds. That's absolutely crazy.
I agree with that. That was hard for me to learn too. Yeah.
And that's a very important point that I think that this is part of toxic femininity is women create narratives in their head and they think everybody else knows it.
Hey, you're not lying.
They put a whole movie together in their head and they play it in their head and they expect you to already know Act 1. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Like, get mad at you. You seen this movie?
Right. Like y'all said earlier, this is why it's okay to ask, you know what I'm saying, to ask for detail. There's no stupid question. Just the one you ask.
Right. So ladies out there, if you've never watched He's Not That Into You, go watch it because that will help you understand. A man is going to say exactly what he means. I'll call you later means later, right? Whenever that is. If he says, I will call you tomorrow, he will call you tomorrow. You don't have to fill in the details. If he says, you know what, I had a really good time. This has been fun, take care. You got to understand what take care means.
It means peace.
We're not ever gonna talk again.
That's the first thing I heard was
Peace, right? So meaning, take care means don't expect to hear from me, right? And so you got to understand those kinds of things. And as a woman, we've been taught to kind of be in that fantasy world. We're not realistic in that sense. Or okay, if he says that, I kick into action of things that I got to do and prep and be ready for, well, when is he going to call? When is that? And that's when you run into some of the girls. And I'm not saying on the flip side, there's men that play that game. Hey, you know what? I'll catch you tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes, right? That's toxic.
Tomorrow doesn't exist.
Right. Exactly. Right. Well, right.
But what you were saying, I feel like women fall in love with the potential of what can transpire and have the rose-colored glasses, and when it doesn't happen or pan out, it's like, okay, back down to reality. This really didn't go down. So then you get mad at yourself. It's like, why are you mad at yourself when you had this whole idea in your head? So you fall in love with the potential and not what's really going down, because men are super direct. Like, it's like, what are you looking for? I'm being honest. I answered your question. Like, what else do you want from me?
Right.
And in saying that, women, and not all, let me first preface, not all, but I would say a small majority, 51%, are very indirect. Passive aggressive is their normal state.
I say about 95% of them right now. I just told sis right there about that joint earlier. Like, you guys are good at being politically correct. and indirect in what you're saying. Just get to the point. Like let's just cut off all the fat, and can we just get to the point? And women, you have it because at the end of the day, because we are so direct, and that's why I told her. I told Renee earlier. I was like, at the end of the day, I get it. I get how women are. I understand this is y'all behavior. You know what I'm saying? You guys try to avoid conflict. You guys try to avoid misunderstandings. So you guys, do your best to be politically correct. At the end of the day, to be straight. Let me know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So we can either move forward together, or I move forward in a whole different direction, and you go a whole different. You know what I'm saying? It's communication is everything.
Right. And what, to give a little insight, so what we just kind of discussed is I'm an educator by trade in the mortgage industry, as well as being that broker. So I have to watch my words, and I'm a little more storytellish in my delivery, right? And times when when I'm being direct, the usage of words that I use, instead of saying, you want some water, right? I won't necessarily, when I'm talking to a man, I won't just say, do you want some water? I may say, hey, I got juice, I got this or that. Are you thirsty? So I'm adding extra words in there because I'm not trying to come off masculine, right? I want to sound a certain way to you, right? So I'm not going to say certain words, and I've gotten definitely better with being direct and being feminine in that versus trying to spare your feelings and do a 20-minute explanation. I know how to say, would you like some refreshment or whatever? And somebody can say, well, what the hell is refreshment, right? No. So I have water, I have juice, I have tea. Are you thirsty? I can say that and deliver it in a feminine way versus, do you want some water? Or you want something to drink? And he's going to ask you what do you have? So I'm just going to say, I have water, I have tea, I have juice. Are you thirsty? I cut that off already. Like this extra question, right? Well, what do you have? I already told you what I have. Are you thirsty? Right? So I've gotten better in communicating in the way that I like to communicate. I'm a wordy person. So let's figure out how to be direct, be a little wordy, and not take 20 minutes to make that explanation, if that makes sense.
I think it makes sense. I'm like that too. Like, I'm not really like a super talker, but if I'm into a conversation, it's flowing, right? But I think you're like, the way you learn how to do it, like I think that's what I went through. It's just all about, you're eliminating a lot of back and forth. You're eliminating those questions, and just, you're still direct and you're still straight to the point, but in your divine feminine energy, you're just the vibe, but also you're eliminating that whole waste of time kind of shit.
Right. but this is the thing that's funny. The way you said you're eliminating questions, but really what you do is you generate more. Because now you're gonna say, hey, is the tea is it sweetened or unsweetened?
Right. Well,
you got orange juice. Is it pulp or no pulp? Is it?
I guess so. But I would say, even though I'm adding maybe the same line of questioning, maybe there, maybe 5 still questions, but it definitely would have been. I think when I present things, I still try to present options to eliminate, like, because you can just ask that and say, are you thirsty? Yes or no. Okay, cool. No, now I don't have to say anything. Well, if you are, he's going to ask. So I think I think sometimes there's a value missed in a woman being able to anticipate the next stream of questions or anticipate something. So before you even ask me, what do we have? I'm going to say, this is what I have. Now, maybe you're right. And I will take that into consideration to say, I have sweet tea, I have orange juice that is pulp, or, you know what I'm saying, to alleviate that.
Right.
But you know what I mean? But it takes that type of an effort. And at times women we were taught that we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
We can just say, yeah, that to one of my homegirls will say, girl, what did you say to him? You better ask that nigga if he's thirsty, right? And I'm like, that's just not me, right? I'm always going to present that's how I'm going to talk. That's like me. Anybody can witness. That is how I am. So
I'm going to show you a shortcut.
I agree.
That was way more efficient.
Tell me.
Just say, hey, would you like something to drink?
But
if you say that, a man is naturally either going to say, what do you have? Then you can go into the other, or he's going to say, give me some water, or can I get some juice? And it's going to be a quick answer, because see, men, we don't get into all the details. If you just say, would you like something to drink? We're going to say, yeah, can I get some water? I'll tell you, 7 out of 10 men going to ask for water.
Exactly. Okay. So I knew that question would come, right? So instead of saying that, and my experience has been, well, in my home, I have an array of things to drink. So I'm a hostess type of a chick. So I
got you now.
Yeah. So I
respect
I'm right
it.
there with you, honey.
Okay. If you're right. A person, if you like lots of options now, that makes a little bit more sense.
Because when I come out with the water, and I gave you the water, but then I poured, myself a nice, some sweet tea. I've heard like, why didn't you tell me you got tea? Or why didn't you tell me you got that? I asked you, did you want something to drink? And he's like, well, you didn't tell me. I didn't know I had options. So I just asked. So I present the options. If it's just water, then yes. And I'll say, do you want some water? But I will always present the options to alleviate the extra questions, because I tell you what I have. And
but
now
whenever you bring up options, it's always going to bring more questions. Naturally.
I guess so. True. But I'm trying to cut away from why did you tell me that that you had orange sweet tea or something or whatever?
You just come back. You should have asked. You just come back. You should have asked.
I don't know. Does that not? I don't know. That's how. I don't know.
But see, the thing is, men respect that.
We have no problem.
We have no problem with that. See, women always. Women, you think that directness, a man is going to be turned off by that, but actually, we appreciate it
because we're used to it.
But just because you're used to it doesn't mean that. So how do I? Okay.
So you can't see the value in us like offering and being.
I didn't say.
I'm gonna sit with this.
I'm just
for a minute.
I'm just. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying anything's wrong.
Okay.
First and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, there's efficient and then there's inefficient.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you want a more efficient manner, just say, hey, would you like something to drink? And what he wants, he's going to say. And then if you got it, bam, you give it to him. Mm-hmm. If you don't got it, hey, I don't have that. I got this. Okay, let me get that. And it's nice and easy. No more energy loss. No more questions. Now, and then let's say he says something, but then he goes in your refrigerator. He's, oh, I didn't know you had that. Why didn't you tell me? Then all you had to say, well, you should have. And then he'll respect it, because then now what he'll know is that you're not afraid to be direct with him. Because like I said, men, we respect a woman that is direct with us.
Okay.
That beating around the bush shit is what gets on our nerves. So
is that beating around the bush to tell you the options first? Do you feel that way?
Like I said, to me, it's not. It's about efficient and inefficient.
Yeah.
Okay, so was that inefficient or was that sufficient?
To me, again, I'm not for me.
Yes, for you.
If I'm over a young lady's house and she says, "Hey, would you like something to drink? I got this, this, and this." To me, that's inefficient.
Let's unpack that. Okay.
For me, it's either way. I don't mind either way. You know what I'm saying? For me, because at the end of the day, I'm still going to get my water.
Exactly. Most men are going to get water.
Okay. So you said it was. I wanted to unpack what you said, Brian. So it was inefficient, and why?
The reason why it's inefficient is because and here's why it's inefficient. One, it starts a conversation on something that doesn't really matter. And now it gets people to think like, damn, she got all this different stuff. What does she do? Now a man, just like a woman, we create movies in our head too sometimes. And then we started like, what's she got all this for? What, she got all these people over her house or something? You never know, depending on what a person's background is, you don't know what kind of movie they're going to create based upon minuscule information.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I say, then that's the reason why I say it's inefficient. It's easier if you limit the exchange of unnecessary information. You don't have to worry about a person creating a movie in their head about why she got all these different drinks. How many people been over here? Who she got that for? How many people she entertaining? All this dumb stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I can see that.
I can definitely see
I'm
that.
telling you, I'm telling you from a man's perspective. I know guys.
No, that's happened before. I get it.
I'm telling you.
and I can appreciate that because it is that. So I will have things that I like, and I just was kind of raised to always have options, for people. Like, there are people in my family that drink, and so okay, men like a certain type of cognac, so I'll have a cognac. I'll always have champagne. I'll always have wine. I'll have water. I have juice. I have soda. So and I was taught that was being in your feminine bag, right? You should always be prepared. You should be prepared to host people, or if somebody needs to stay over, you should have certain things done. So I always had options. Now there's times that there's things collected dust because there's nobody been here. I don't drink, brown really. I don't really drink if it's not champagne, and that's why I got in trouble over this weekend mixing champagne and tequila. That was I would step out of my element, right? I would never do that again. But so for me, it was, I guess, I really appreciate you telling me that so that I can take that into consideration, because ultimately, as a woman, I can only assume or gather data, and I confirm. So as I can take your perspective and say, I appreciate that, but that still was unnecessary. This is something that you can have in your tool belt. And I guess that goes into knowing the person that you are dealing with.
Facts. And that's the bigger part. And that's the reason why I'm really saying it. And that's why I said it's inefficient, because let's say you don't drink cognac, but you got cognac in your house. So a weaker guy, and you don't necessarily know he's weaker, but he might think, well, damn, what nigga been over here? Who had this cognac? She don't drink cognac.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now he's wondering how many guys she entertaining. Like,
yeah.
Like that's what it's just. It creates.
That's facts, because it's happening. Like, really? You like. And I'm thinking in my head, a man thinks that a woman, like, what kind of women you dealing with where you don't have options? Like, are they like not taking care of themselves? Like, you know what I mean? That's where I come from, because I have the old programming like her, where it's like, make sure you have options for people. Like, it's like saying like, hey, your friend coming over, she's vegan, so you have vegan options, you have non-vegan, whatever. Just for an example, like, it's the same thing. Like, that's how I was raised too. Have options, like. But I like your perspective, though. I love it because it's happened to me. So
what's even stronger from a man's perspective is, like, if a man comes by, he wants to know what you like. So if you got all these options, he doesn't really he can't really see what you did. You know what I'm saying? So if you just got in your house what you did, that can give him a healthy respect of, okay, she likes this, this, and this, and it can help him to try to cater to you some. As opposed to, if you got all these options, he don't really know.
I like that. We're working on something here.
No, and I can speak to both sides of it, because I've heard that from a guy, like, you got all this, like, who be here? And I had to tell him, and the way things are set up, you can definitely see, like, oh, okay, she always has extra this, that, and the third. This is just kind of how she was raised. But that was a thought of, like, you got cognac and it's not open, right? So it's like, okay, so maybe if I had it open, and then it would definitely be like, I don't know if she lying to me or not, that means some niggas been here,
exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
God.
So that has happened to me on that side, and then it's happened to me on a guy that was very observant, because I had a lot of options and I had certain snacks. I used to eat Oreos. I loved Oreos. I don't like the cream in the middle, but I like the Oreos. So I would have Oreos and like other little snacks, but he would see me eating them. So he thought, oh, she would dig an Oreo cookie cake. I cannot stand an Oreo cookie cake. That is, I don't know. I don't like Oreo cookie shakes. I don't know. I just don't like it's the cream in it. I like the chocolate, right? So, but him being observant, knowing that I was always eating Oreos, him trying to do a nice gesture, got an
Right.
Oreo cookie cake, right? And I'm like, no, thank you. I'll eat this, and I had to tell him I just like the chocolate in the Oreo. So that is a good example of some men will be observant, and if there's no communication, or I can see if I have a whole bunch of stuff, he's like, oh, she like cognac, or she got the VSOP, cool. Like, I know I can get her that and she'll appreciate that. And I would have to tell you, yeah, I don't like that. But that goes to, why are we not communicating? Why are you not asking and confirming? Why are we not having a conversation? I'm not saying that he's going to have to ask everything, but it's cool to be observant, but there's some things that I think you should start to ask questions to confirm. So,
I mean, I totally agree.
I agree.
I think the communication is definitely important. I think we should definitely have another conversation, another roundtable like these again.
I agree.
I enjoy the different perspectives, and we definitely love women coming in and voicing their opinions on topics that I don't think that we talk about enough. Anybody else got any last inputs or anything like that before we get up out of here?
No, it was beautiful. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I would like to say I want to show my appreciation for you ladies providing your feminine energy to the topic. It was greatly appreciated, and I thought it was a great discussion. Like, we push P around here, nothing but positivity, and we move at the speed and now to avoid collision.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been real. It's been all love. And as always, never stop making love.
Facts.
Yes. Stay tuned in, tapped in, and turn on, and be the best you at all times.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, ladies, for jumping in with us. It's